Okay, we'll try not to go too long on these. This will be number 2 for today. I was just thinking, actually, I was helping Pops. Pops, those of you who watched, followed the site. Pops was an old man that I helped. Just thought of something. He was in AA and, very big into it. And those of you know I'm not into it, but I'm still sober. But I helped Pops a lot. And I met Pops because he had like a nephew named Charlie. Pops used to call him Charlie Boy. And so when me and David Martin were doing a little halfway house, we would look for, people, prospects. Sometimes they would just be poor alcoholics, street alcoholics passed out behind an old AA meeting called Humility Meeting. It used to be in the Saxon Center off of Leopard. Now I'm thinking of something else. So if we found guys there, like just sleeping in the back, another one, Rex, we found like that, and we'd tell them you could stay at a little halfway house, and that we would take them through the 12 steps and all, but I would do the Christian side of recovery. So Pops, Charlie Boy eventually died. But I loved old Charlie Boy. One time, I had Charlie at the house, my house. And Pops told me later, he said, Charlie Boy told him, Charlie was a little younger than me, maybe 50 when he died. But Pops used to tell me, Charlie said, John took me over to his house, and his daughters and wife were there, and they treated me like I was a friend. And I said, oh, Pops, I did that with all the guys. But that stuck with him. I stopped going, when I was doing the AA, I had to stop going because a CCPD cop was always on me, all the time. And I'd have the guys with me. And we'd get out of the meeting, just parked right behind me, all over. And I just... So one time I was with Pops, and I was going down Staples Street. He used to live off of Waco, all the way downtown. Sure enough, there was a lady next to us, and we were going east, I guess, which down Staples. And a pickup truck, we were all doing 25, 30 on that little street. And they hit her from behind, right next to me. I looked in my rearview mirror, and then the truck took off. It was a hit and run. But he rear-ended her kind of hard. So I told Pops, I said, I better stop and check it out, and I've been to so many wrecks over the years, and people, but so I stopped, and I walked across the street. It was like by Staples and Morgan Street, or right in that area. Oh, and she had whiplash. She was an Italian lady, actually, because she asked if she needed to contact me for insurance and all, so I gave her one of my little ministry cards, and she recognized my name as Italian. But she was hurt somewhat. She was on the phone, by the way, with 911, and they were like, do you really need an ambulance? I took the phone. I said, it's a 1050, which is a wreck. That's what we used to call it in Kingsville, a 1050. I said, yes, you need somebody to come. It was like, I said, yes. Now, I waited with her, and I did scene control, meaning I had her come to the side, and I was there and made sure nobody else was going to run into that vehicle. The cops actually never came. That's all I know. But the fire department showed up, so I had all the information. They didn't say nothing, but you could tell they knew, he must have had experience with this in the past. For a few years, you say, John, you're just downing the police department. Some of you might have a different perspective now. Some of you might have a different perspective. Just even a small minority of the ones I have reported would have justified a civil rights investigation of your department. And there are so many. And what you had learned to do Not you new guys, not you young guys, not the rookies. Your senior level learned this is the way it was going to be dealt with in any assaults, planting Xanax, and blah, 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 blah. This is how they were going to deal with it. That just let it ride. You say, well, no, you didn't investigate Markle. You, Mr. Markle, never checked, never investigated. I requested at least 20 times. Give me a report on it. Nothing. Arrogant. Arrogant is what you are. Because any normal entity would have dealt with this after such a long history. So and all of these videos that you're seeing now, none of it is new. Meaning it's all been reported so many times. And the way you had people that were indeed abused, assaulted, beat the shit out, the way that eventually, it's not that stopped, maybe it tamped down a bit. But a lot of it was never reported because of what I just explained. Because they got retaliated against. Just the few you've heard me talk about the last few days, just those alone are violation of civil rights on so many people. Besides felonies, you might have heard me in the past say, there's open felonies committed. Now you got an idea. You see, corrupt cops, no matter where you are, they're not stupid. If you're going to plant a Xanax on somebody, you do it with somebody that has a history of drug problems. You figure that would just go right through the system. They go off the doctor call them, and so you learn. So it became more like, it wasn't law enforcement in that particular field of where they were doing those things for all these years. All of it there, the county jail, the city jail, all of that was sort of like, well, I use all this. I break laws. I use cops. I pick up UE because I told him whenever I see you, you're going to jail. He did a few days, surprised. How's he do it? They lie in the report. Oh, we thought he had it for lying. So that whole system, all the money that's pumped into that department, all of that was kind of used as little games in that particular area. Like, we're here as real estate. A lot of cops own a lot of property in where I live, Flower Bluff. They wanted to get rid of the street guys. We got to get them off the street, got to clear them off the street, and whatever means possible in those particular scenarios. And then they learned that that's sort of how it is. Like, South Texas is above, in these particular things, above the law. Now, many of you are probably familiar with the nice new cops on the beat. A lot of female officers, which is fine. A lot of new rookies. And I know these people want to have a career in that. And many of you now seeing these are like, oh, we didn't realize. But if none of this is new. And the thing is, the leadership of that department is aware of all this. None of this is like the chief would say, oh my, no, the cigarette investigation. You get paid. Chief, supervisors, you get paid. The way they take it is you're going after one of theirs, even if they've committed a crime. This is endemic. This is endemic. You had the famous, I'll mention this because I don't want to go long, the famous G.I. Joe case. This was a well-respected officer up, I think it was somewhere around Chicago. It was national media. I commented and talked about that case, and I had it right at the end. He pulled up to a field somewhere on the beat, and he said, I'm in pursuit of two or three people, and he gave description. And he gave a good description, meaning it was pretty detailed, of a black man and of another person, maybe one or two other people. Then he said, I'm out here. Then he called back in and said, I've been shot. Now, they did a weeks-long manhunt. This was the national media. And the people speaking for the police department said, we're going to get them. Rightfully so. Rightfully so. And then after a very big manhunt on the national news every night, rightfully, then it kind of slowed down. All right? Then there was the medical examiner in that county where this officer was shot. And he came out and said it was a self-inflicted gunshot by this officer. The nickname was G.I. Joe, Winnikits, or I forget his real name. All right, this is a few years ago. So when I saw a couple of reports, and as soon as that medical examiner came out and said, look, it looks like he was self-inflicted, they went after that medical examiner. How dare you? Now the cops were beginning to cover up at this point, those that were speaking to the media. Then there was another news report that a retired captain from that department called into the media and called into his police department and said he was mad. And he said, quit effing lying about this or I'm going to come down. And that retired officer threatened his fellow department. So he must have known something that the public didn't know. But then that police department continued to go after anybody that was trying to show what really happened. And that officer, G.I. Joe, he saw that black man and the other person, the description, he saw them at an ATM machine. And he simply figured, I'll frame them for what I'm going to do. And as I followed that case, sure enough, G.I. Joe committed suicide. And I knew even before it really came out public, and I kind of blogged on that, because he went to an undisclosed location, and he didn't call in right away that he was shot. And what he did was he had to stop. He had to take his vest off, bulletproof vest. He had to place it down. He had to shoot the vest. Then he had to put the vest back on. Then go back out. And then he shot himself, making it look like one got under the vest. Later it was found out, and they all knew this. This department knew this. And they tried to cover it up. He was being investigated for taking money. He was the head of the youth program, very well-respected man. But now remember, the whole country was out for that black man because he gave a description. And they actually were going to go get that black man that he gave the description of. And that black man and the other person, they said, we have no idea what, but he framed them. Even in his suicide, he was going to frame them. The police in that entity, city, county, they still, once they realized what really happened, they did not want to admit it because it would have made them look bad. And they went after the medical examiner, and they had to be forced. Even a retired cop had called in and said, no. He threatened his own officers, said, we all know what happened, basically, and quit putting this out to the public. Finally, it came out, yes, that cop was under investigation for taking money from that youth program. Not only that, he was under investigation because he put a hit out, meaning he was going to have one of the city council women murdered because she was the one that was investigating. That lady, I saw her face on the paper or in the media when she was shot, thinking, like, even though she was investigating him for taking the money from that program, she was just surprised that he had put a hit out on her. Now, obviously all officers are not that way, but the question was, look, people pulling up to me right now, the question was, why did all those other officers continue to go after that black man that was innocent, meaning we think he did it and covered it up? There's a culture that even if you have a corrupt percentage of officers, the culture is you're going after one of ours. Even if, in that case, he had a hit put out. And the internal investigations knew a lot of this. But they didn't want this to come public. And after he was dead, even though all this other stuff was true, they would have preferred just to make it like it was an unresolved homicide. They were kind of going to go that route and still kind of like target those. Because even right up until the final, it had to be exposed because the culture was, he's still one of our own. And yes, he might have had a hit out on a lady, you know. Watch the famous movie, what is it? It was from the Northeast, where I was from. The cop, Serpico. Watch that movie. With, what's his name, Al Pacino. You know, my grandfather, Vito Saletti, when he was living in Brooklyn, he used to tell this story. Downstairs, there was some Italian neighborhood, you know. There was a young kid that used to play, and that was Al Pacino, before he became an actor. So, Vito Saletti used to tell that one, okay?